Hey everybody, welcome to Famous When I'm Dead. My name is Sam King Davis, and today I want to introduce you to a very special guest. I found this page on Instagram, and I was blown away by the Hollywood level quality and the intensity of the masks. And lo and behold, I found out that his company is actually in Hollywood. It's called Immortal Masks. So without further ado, I give you George Frangadakis.
Cool, man. Well, it's nice to finally meet you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Man, I saw the first time I saw the Instagram page, I was blown away. I don't even really know how I found it, but before I moved to Prague, I was like casting people's heads, and I was doing these dark, esoteric sculptures of people's heads. And yeah, so I thought actually when I was doing that I might someday get into mask making, but moving to Prague and became a caricature artist, so like totally different path.
That's awesome. Where were you before?
I was in St. Louis. That's where I'm
Really?
from. Yeah.
Very cool. I'm very familiar with your city.
Oh yeah? Why is that?
Well, every year for the last 10 years straight, the haunted attraction industry's giant trade show, Transworld, is in St. Louis at the Convention of the Americas. So I've spent much time there. I have employees from St. Louis that I actually met there, and they now are moved to California and live here. So every year St. Louis is a week-long stop for us.
Oh, cool. So you've sampled all the barbecue and checked out the blues. Yeah.
I have, yeah.
Yeah, we got a
City Museum is a favorite.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a pretty good haunted house scene in St. Louis.
You do. Larry Kirshner with The Darkness is with The Darkness. That's in Georgia.
I think we have a Darkness.
It is The Darkness, yeah. And Let Brewery.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I have this funny picture of me when I was like 10 years old. I went to a haunted house with my grandma. My grandma, gosh, she must have been like 65 then. And they snapped a picture while we were in there, and I'm like holding on to my grandma like a little bitch.
That's amazing. Yeah, we do actually a lot of pieces for that haunt. Many pieces of that haunt. So yeah, they're good clients for us, and I think Larry's one of the reasons. Yeah, I think in some ways that Transworld ended up in St. Louis, but that is every spring that is the hub for the haunted attraction industry.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I'll never let anybody.
We have some other friends out there too. Some of the producers from Face Off actually are actually from St. Louis, and so when Andrew, my partner, was on Face Off, we have a little connection there. Michelle, my other business partner, Andrew's wife, her father has a branch of his company in St. Louis, so thankfully, whenever this trade show comes, we send a whole a semi truck full of masks and crates out to there, and they hold them for us until we do the show. And yeah.
Nice. So how does that work exactly? Is that so you're just like you have a booth kind of? Is it sort of like Comic-Con?
It's imagine like Comic-Con, and we have like the Marvel booth. So we have like I think 2,100 square feet of booth space. It's pretty massive. We bring on average around 500 to 600 masks, all on racks. So that it pretty much is a wide encompassing of my whole catalog, and that's where it's a trade show. So just kind of like SEMA or something like that, you go there and you're seeing new product, you're making deals. It's everybody from the home haunter all the way to your massive theme parks. They send their buying teams out there, and that's kind of where the season that's going to be coming up in the fall takes place there. That's all the buying happens. So new product, seminars, and then getting together with old friends you don't get to see more than once a year. So
Yeah.
that's where City Museum and some of the bars play into afterwards.
Yeah. I noticed you have like 1,000 or like, I don't even know how many posts. It's like 1,500 or 1,600 posts. So how many masks do you actually have?
Well, I think we're now over around 350 characters and pieces, and so each one of those will have anywhere between like 5 to like 8 paint variants that I do as part of my catalog, and then on top of that, we customize masks, paint them how you want. So yeah, there's quite a few pieces now. As far as like masks, yeah, it's like now we're getting to the point where it's like even to get a good like smattering of what we actually make, and that's the different paint variants. I have to bring 700 masks to a show like that if I'm going to show them all, and I'm going to show at least anywhere between 2 to maybe 4 paint variants of that mask.
Man, are you able to flatten them out and ship them like that, or do you have to have them all?
No, we ship them on head form. So I have like room-sized crates. That's why it takes now it takes 2 semis to ship everything out there.
Damn.
Each crate holds about 98 masks, and then I keep, because we have that access to having a warehouse in St. Louis. We keep all of our rack systems and everything out there. So we usually ship pretty much straight product, and then boxes of office equipment. And so you're doing, I mean, like you're setting up, like one whole area is literally just for commerce. There's like 3 pay stations where we're doing, because we're doing deals that like go anywhere between like 2 masks to like several hundred masks for a certain like theme park.
So I guess my one of my biggest curiosities is kind of like how you got started and what inspired you to get going with that, and then like how long has it been, and can you tell us like a little bit about your history of it?
Sure, yeah. I mean, the company is 10 years old. We're in our 10th year now. I came into the company. I come from a production background, so I come from more. I went to film school to be a producer, so I moved to Hollywood with the aspirations to produce movies. And while I was in film school, and obviously prior to film school, I had a deeper fascination for all the effects stuff that I was seeing in movies. I probably knew just as many effects artist names as I did director names. So I had a deep fascination for the movie monster. That was my thing. I was also, like most of us in this industry, I was a Halloween kid, which means that I wanted to have the coolest Halloween costume. So that's my humble beginnings. I strayed from that for a while, and I went into a different. But growing up in the 80s in the Silicon Valley, pre-internet, didn't allow for. I didn't know how to. I knew what I was into, but I didn't know how to get into it. That was kind of like, and you'd read the back of these magazines, Fangoria and stuff, and they'd have little like makeup kit stuff. But it wasn't really what I wanted to do. I knew I liked movies, but I didn't know what I wanted to do with that. And because I didn't have any kind of background or knew anybody that was even involved with it, my father was a dentist. When it came to graduating from high school and deciding what I wanted to do with my life, I didn't really know. I mean, I knew deep down what I wanted to do. I just didn't know how to pursue it. So I just picked what my dad was, and I went and pursued a degree in biochemistry to eventually become a dentist. It was only then when I got accepted to dental school that I realized that this isn't what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. That doesn't mean that I went right into film. I strayed from there and I got into the bar industry. I ran nightclubs for the next 10 years of my life. And
you look like a
go
guy.
back and, yeah, honestly, I think that I learned more about navigating Hollywood from my time spent running nightclubs than I did even in film school. But in film school, after I left the nightclub industry, I was in my 30s. I decided, okay, well, I'm now going to start over. I'm going to do what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And I was lucky enough to have some people that I was introduced to that worked at Lucasfilms. I spent some time over there. They suggested film school. I was just looking for a job, to be honest with you. I was like, I've already done school. I think I'm cool right now. But I couldn't say no to this guy named Ian McKay, who's a conceptual artist for the Lucasfilms in the Star Wars universe. And so he sent me to a friend of his named Jonathan Fung, who was the director of the Academy of Art in San Francisco, their film program. I just said, okay. And I went, they put a camera in my hand the first day. I was hooked. I finished with a master's in film production, and I moved to Los Angeles with aspirations to become a producer. It was only then that, again, these strange, weird occurrences of meeting the right person at the right time. My father, the dentist, is one of his good friends who was a dentist. His daughter happened to be best friends with somebody named Debbie Winston. Her father was Stan Winston, who was an amazing effects artist who did like Jurassic Park and Terminator and all these things. And I get this random phone call that said, Stan Winston wants to meet you. And I was like, what? So
Yeah.
I got to go to Stan Winston Studios and spend a little bit of time there, just as as a guest more than anything else. It was like 3 days of getting to walk around and carte blanche, ask anybody any question that I wanted to. And at the very end of the whole weekend, Stan kind of talked to me about what I wanted to do with my life, and he said, our industry needs somebody like you. And I said, I don't understand. These artists are amazing. I could do anything that they're doing. He said, well, you can just as easily produce an effects studio as you can a movie. And he introduced me to the world of effects supervision. And so I was, at the time, I was actually working at the Academy Awards. I was a stage manager for the Academy Awards. I ran the green room. I quit my job and I took an internship in the effects studio. And it was, it was a push the broom, sweep the floor type internship. But I did have some film knowledge. And what happened is I kind of kept my head down for the first 2 months that we were there. We got this gig. It was a sci-fi channel alien movie. It was going to shoot in Louisiana. And I got sent to Louisiana. And because of my film school background, I understood set hierarchy. I kind of was able to make things work for us when it wasn't really going well because of my understanding of how a film generally was made. And I came back and I was the supervisor of the shop. And that's where I met my current business partner, Andrew Freeman. So we spent some time working for another person, and like any other success story, we had a boss that we were just, where I think we had run our course with him. No hard feelings. I left thinking that probably I wouldn't pursue effects anymore, but maybe I'd go back into producing. I got a phone call 2 weeks later from my friend who was the lead artist at VGVFX. His name was Andrew Freeman, who's my current partner. He said, I just bought out my original partner. Would you come take a look at my mask company? And I was like, I think I'm kind of over effects right now. But I did. He had a good thing. I was trying to understand his business model. There wasn't really much of one, but he's such an extremely talented artist that what we did is we tried to just map out what our business model would be around it. And the idea, in the simplest of forms, was that we were just going to make cool shit and sell it to anybody. Because up until that point, we've been working in film effects only, and our market was only, at that time, low budget films. We were kind of we worked for a cool dude, but they did some movies way back in the day. But I think some of the movies that we were working on at the time were more in the indie low budget realm. And there was a lull for a little while, about 10 years ago in Hollywood. And their CG was coming up, and we were competing with the same kind of crappy horror movies. And so when Andrew and I partnered for Immortal, the idea was to just commercialize a specific aspect of effects and make it available to anybody. And we were lucky enough that in the beginning, the haunted attraction industry kind of took to us, because the silicone masks basically are a quick 10-second alternative to a complex 4-hour makeup application, and they saw benefit in what we were doing. In fact, we were actually we were better for them as far as cost, because it costs more money to employ makeup artists for the duration of their event to maintain prosthetics that they would have to dispose of every night. And so our $600 plus mask became more cost effective. And that's kind of where we started. And then, I don't know, it kind of blew up and turned into this machine. We were a garage company, and now it's there's 13,000 square feet. And to our I'm not sure if it's to our benefit or to it's not, but it's weird for us to not be sculpting. Some people have a set amount, and they you'll see other mask companies will do 8 or maybe a dozen, or maybe even as low as 4 new masks per year. I think we're at about 45 new pieces this season,
Wow.
and we're still sculpting. For us, it's it's nice to have a business that can maintain and sustain your family, your employees, but there's a shared love of just the art. So I think we reinvest into the company a lot, and whether we know that they're going to like the mask or not, we just come up with an idea and we have to follow through with it. It's impossible to not do it for us. It's we have to sculpt it, we have to see it. So
are you guys doing
stuff?
Are you guys doing how far do you flesh it out in a sketch, or is it just an idea, or different artists working differently?
Up until recently, most of the ideas were either just based off an idea with references. So if it's hey, we want to make a shark mask, well, we might pull reference photos of sharks and use that as the basis to figure out where the human form is going to be hidden within this mask. And then sometimes it's a sketch. Andrew draws constantly, so that those sketches are always happening. Recently, we've turned to 3D modeling. So again, props to my partner Andrew. He's pretty amazing as a sculptor and artist. He learned ZBrush in about 2 weeks, which is it's weird. He's a natural. He's a freak. And so we started producing ZBrush sculptures and busts that work off as reference. Now we're still sculpting them traditionally with clay, and we bring in other sculptors. So right now we have Andrew's back there sculpting, and then Brian Wade. Brian's worked on everything from Fright Night to he's been around. He's an industry leader, sculptor for many years. So they're out there sculpting right now. But we might build off of those 3D renderings. And eventually now we're starting to incorporate actually 3D printed things into our masks. So yes, we're moving. We're catching up to the ages right now.
Yeah. How long does it usually take, kind of start to finish? About
anywhere between a week and 2 weeks is easier to say. It's I've seen Andrew sculpt a mask as quickly as a day. We've done that before. We did it for so the Adam Savage and Mythbusters, his show Tested. We do a lot of things with Tested. They're good friends of ours. They approached us to do a VR 3D sculpting session for a mask. So Andrew sculpted a mask in a day for that session. So
and he was using, what was he using for that? ZBrush, or was he doing?
No, he sculpted it traditionally in water-based wet clay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's actually a question that I have for you is are you guys utilizing the VR sculpting technologies that are coming out now?
We haven't utilized VR sculpting, although they were nice enough because we did the 3D VR session for Oculus. They were nice enough to provide us with some Oculus Quest headsets, and I think our kids probably play with them more than we do. So we haven't ventured into 3D sculpting yet. Although as we're getting more and more familiar with ZBrush, I wouldn't say that it would be outside of the realm of possibilities.
Yeah, that's actually something that I'm going to look into myself, because the reason I didn't bring all my sculpture stuff over here is because, well, I would need an airplane to myself for all that. So what kind of what are some of your notable TV shows or movies that you guys have made masks for? Probably a lot, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we like, there's things that like that pop up. Sometimes we don't even know, and they pop up with things like, recently we did a mask for it was one of our catalog masks for Dave Franco for his movie The Rental. We did some work with we've done a bunch of work with Netflix constantly. We did some work with Bright and in their promotional campaign for Bright. So we did like a lot of works for them. We did.
That was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, we did a movie coming out this October called Hubby's Halloween or Hubby's Halloween. It's an Adam Sandler movie. It's kind of like it looks like The Waterboy in Salem during Halloween.
Okay.
But we did about 40 pieces for them. Just did a Disney show. We did a thing for Bella Thorne today. She's picking up her new music video. I've done things for the Smashing Pumpkins. I've done. I mean, it's just kind of all over the place. Lately, Disney, Netflix, we were able to consult a little bit on The Mandalorian, which is fun, with some silicone stuff. We've contributed to other effects companies that are friends of ours. We've sometimes come in and do like what we're good at doing under their banner for film. So we've been lucky enough to work on things like Star Trek Discovery. So I know there's little pieces of us floating around all over the place,
Yeah,
it's more about just getting to do it than it is really like the credits these days. Like the way that films work, it used to be back in the day that like your one effects company got the whole gig and that was it. Like you did the thing, and now it's like you can get pieces of things, or you have friends that are working at different effects companies and they may call you for one small thing, and it's just fun to do the piece, So the credit, it's cool, but it's more fun just to be able to work on these things.
Yeah. I had a question about like making celebrity faces or making faces that are kind of like similar to some copyrighted thing. Because like, for example, with a caricature artist, there's like a certain line that you like, if you cross the line, it's okay. Like it's interpretation or like there's like creative license there. And then if you're behind that line, it can be copyright infringement.
Hold on one second. I think we're just getting. Are you still there? There you go. I'm getting a phone call. It can all be copyright infringements. The crossing the line thing. The urban myth is that like 30%, right? If you alter 30%, it's not okay. That's an urban myth. There's no way of determining what 30% of something really is. If it's marketed and looks like something, and you even like try to suggest that it's that. And if they want to pursue it, they can. So how do we approach those things? Generally, with a good relationship with the IP holders. So when we handle things that are specifically IPs, we definitely discuss them and have an agreement and licensing arrangement. And it varies from vendor to vendor. Now, if it's like, hey, George, can you make me a mask of this person? We're very careful about that. We make extremely lifelike and realistic masks. I don't feel comfortable replicating somebody or even someone who's passed away without either their permission or their estate's permission. So,
just how often does that happen? How often do you get asked to do that?
Weekly, constantly.
Really? Wow. God, that must be.
Yeah, I mean, it's and then the drawbacks I think is usually is twofold. One, present them with okay, cool, you have to have permission, and two, this is how much it costs, and one of the two usually scares about like 90% away.
Yeah.
But we do follow through, and we did a likeness of Alec for a Super Bowl commercial this year that was directed by Michael Bay. And that was in very short period of time. Now, obviously, that was all okay. It was a Super Bowl commercial involving Jennifer Lopez, DJ Khaled, and they pulled the mask off, and it was A-Rod, and then they pulled the mask off, and it was DJ Khaled. So we made the mask for them. Yeah. And we've done some work also, like with the same idea where we might do something utilizing one of our own masks, and they'll do a digital composition over the mask. So like the rapper Future, he had a music video called Mask Off. They hit us with like 4 days to spare, and they wanted him to take off the mask of himself. I'm like, there's literally no way we can make that. But I said, we give you a basis, like one of our masks that's painted in his skin tone, and you do a digital CG comp, we can make it look like that's happening. We did that for Zoolander too. Same thing. There was a scene where Will Ferrell Mufasa takes off a copy of himself, or Mugado takes off a mask of himself. He's breaking out of prison, and that was one of our masks that was
cool.
comp of it to make it look like him. Yeah.
Man, I have to check that movie out. I totally skipped over that movie.
I did too. I'm not a fan.
Mask is the movie.
Look to see what they did with their mask. It was pretty interesting, but yeah.
Oh, okay. You watched the mask scene, but not the rest of the movie, huh?
Kind of. It kind of lost me for a while. You know, it's one of those things where, like, you want to hang in there with them, but you're like, this isn't as good as the first one. You know, like, and maybe the jokes aren't playing out like they used to, or you know, it happens.
Yeah. That kind of humor has kind of a short burn.
Right.
So, I guess we kind of covered it a little bit earlier, but there is a question of, like, how do you see the future of your business? Because obviously CG and, like, the 3D printing technologies and all of that stuff, like, how do you see you guys moving into that or trying to, like, stay ahead of the curve on that?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think we're just trying to adapt it to what we do. I mean, like, plain and simple, we make a specific type of product, right? And at the end of the day, the end result is all that really matters. You know, a cool-looking mask, you know, cool-looking silicone mask. And when we start adding bells and whistles into it, when we start figuring out how to tech the masks in ways to accommodate lighting systems or smoking and stuff like that, well, then we start approaching it from more of a technical standpoint, and we start looking to see what's available to us to make those things happen. And we've seen that happen over the years where, you know, when we first started, it was just simply an overhead mask, and the most of the technology was in the core, the thing that we sculpt on, that's the representation of the human head that is smaller than the human head, so the mask stretches around, snaps back to the face, and moves without any adhesives. So most of our tech was really just in the form. And then once we got the form down, we started playing with what are the limitations of the product that we're using, a platinum-grade silicone? How far off the face can we go? If we're worried about it moving a certain way, can we incorporate different elements of different durometer or short hardness silicones within the same mask? So that was a step up in the tech. And then sometimes we kind of write our own rules. We learn a little bit about it and go, when we play the what if game, and we're like, well, what if we did this? And there's no other way to find out unless you try it. And then we go back and we tell the manufacturers, hey, we did this. And they're like, you did what? And so sometimes, and then even from then, they understand what our needs are, and then their chemists will develop things that work in our benefit. And then we start looking at, we start realizing, okay, well, we did this, now how do we expound on that? And we start building things in different directions. And so we're using, it's kind of like a step-by-step, like, you learn from experience, and then you look to what's around you and what's available. So part of it is just a little bit of like what we did last time. And then the next part is, what do we not know, and who do we find that can help us to learn that, to develop an idea that we have for a mask to make it work correctly. And so that's where we start moving into 3D tech and just talking to lighting guys at Adafruit and Arduino, and they point us in the direction of like some programmers to build lights that could be put into silicone and be watertight and work in a way that we want them to work. So we're constantly progressing, based on what the tech is available to us around, at the time.
Yeah. The mask that you guys made with the like lava creature, that's pretty radical, man.
We have a new one. We're going to photograph him later today. So the devilfish, that weird.
Oh yeah, that one's awesome.
The anglerfish version's coming out today, where we have a fiber optic line that goes to a lure, and the whole fin lights up, and it's really cool looking. And we actually painted him in UV reactive paint, so it's twofold. It actually reacts under UV lights, and then also has lighting systems built in within it. So it's pretty cool.
Whoa.
That's a nice, fun one that we're going to actually debut later today.
Do you guys do like body suits too, right? Like I saw someone sculpting Big mustard.
Yeah. Prior to like the commercialization of the mask, most bodysuits that we were doing were limited to our film and television clients because they're expensive to do, and they're so. And the full body is generally something that you need fitted to an actor. So we kind of were like, we're gonna do masks and arms, and then everything else outside that will, it's a special order. And generally, people wince when they hear the price on like a full body suit because it's like the price of like a luxury car. Because you're starting from scratch. You have to light cast a full body, then you got to make a corrective positive, then you got to break it apart so it can come off. Then only then you start actually sculpting the physical piece. When you're paying a Hollywood effects artist, so you're paying their rate, and then you got to mold the whole thing, then you got to fabricate it. So everyone's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, it costs that much money." So the idea when we started attacking the bodysuit was that what if we were able to start with the torso, the whole upper body, and we're like, we know that it's going to be a high ticket item because it's going to just castings in general are going to be expensive because the amount of product that we're putting into it is expensive. But we figured, there's a need. For haunted attractions, for low-budget films, where they could get into maybe a generic creature suit that won't cost them, in the $40,000 to $60,000 up range. So we knew it was going to be probably more expensive, and we didn't think that it was going to fit a wide range of people. So the idea was that, well, since it's going to be expensive, we know that only select people are going to be buying it. They'll probably cast accordingly. So they'll find their actor that can fit in that, and he'll be the creature. And the same thing with the film people if we made a generic suit. And the process of making this thing, one of the key components was the mesh system that we put inside our masks even. And that allows things to bond, hold things in place, put a zipper in, we can stitch things through it. And then it also makes it tear resistant. Well, we found this mesh for the suit that expanded in a way that we weren't even predicting. And when we made our first bodysuit, we thought it was going to fit one size person, and it fits a wide range of people. It fits anywhere between like a t-shirt size medium to a double XL. So it became an actually really viable commercial item, and then we actually sell quite a few of them. And then the next step is bottom part. That's harder. The legs are something that are definitely sized. The distance between your hip and your knee and your shin, those are so very specific to each individual person that we're trying to figure out ways to maybe get some generic pieces to maybe make a bottom part. But right now, wardrobe and stuff, we can make an upper torso. You put like a war skirt on or ripped up pants, and you have a great character. And then there's foam encapsulation inside of it to cut down the weight. And, yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah. I guess you probably, do you still do Halloween dress up every year? Or are you using masks that you already made, or do you make a new one for Halloween every year?
It's funny. It's like, and this year sucks because this year Halloween's kind of off a little bit. Traditionally, when we're done, we're working so hard, Halloween just kind of boom hits us, and we're out here in LA. The effects industry is pretty tight, and there's a couple big Halloween parties thrown by two different effects parties. Erin McKesh and her team, the guys from American Horror Story, she has a party usually, and then our friend Jason Collins, who has Autonomous Effects, his party is famous. He has this party every year, and so we all end up there. And so it's cool because the cream of the crop effects party people are getting dressed up, and then they're letting way loose. So we're getting a little rowdy. So in a couple of years I've done our masks. Last year I didn't. I did the lighting guys that I'd met. Shout out to Phil Burgess from Adafruit. He made this. I met this guy. He does amazing light and sound and video stuff. He's wearing this hat at Monster Palooza. It was basically a long hat that had a projection that projected cartoon eyes over his own eyes. And what it was is there's just a plane of glass that that you couldn't see that was at a 45-degree angle in front of his face with the projectors up in the brim of the hat that projected onto there. And it was basically Judge Doom from Roger Rabbit. So I was like, I want that. And so I became friends with this man. I think I traded him a mask. He was a fan of ours. I was a fan of his work. And so last year I was Judge Doom from Roger Rabbit. So I didn't have to.
Oh, nice.
I had a skin on. So, yeah.
That's a blast from the past. I got to check that movie out again.
It tripped people out. It's still one of my favorite costumes I've ever done.
So actually, I kind of wanted to ask about you covered it a little bit, but can anyone wear the mask, or is it
For the most part, yes. I mean, it's one size fits most, and like, so for the male fit mask, if you measured your head around your head above your at the forehead above your ears, and you were like anywhere between, let's say, 22 inches and 25 inches in diameter, you'll probably comfortably fit my mask. Now, everyone's bone structure and head shape is a little bit different, so the mask is definitely going to take on a little bit of your own appearance. It's kind of interesting. It's like you wearing the mask. But if you have a giant head, I wouldn't recommend it. There are some masks that we have that are like, they're bigger in the features, like the rhino and like the minotaur and stuff, that you wouldn't distort it. So if your big head stretch it way out, like, it wouldn't distort it. But if you wanted to wear like a more human character or a zombie, it might be a little bit ballooned. So I wouldn't recommend it. If you have an abnormally small head and you're a male, you can fit our female fit masks, and we have a wide range of the female fit masks, and they're like 20 to 23 inches in diameter.
Yeah, I just had a flashback from the Goosebumps book, The Mask. Did you read Goosebumps when you were a kid?
Yeah. You remember how we said, like, do we get a bunch of requests? That's one of the masks I get a ton of requests for. But no one really wants to pay whatever it costs. Like, I mean, admittedly, like our minimum for custom sculpted masks is around $6,000. And just to explain to everybody why, there's a couple of reasons why that's a minimum of what it takes to get into it. But you're talking about setting up the very specific armature, so you have to run an epoxy and fiberglass core. You're talking about the rate of a Hollywood effects sculptor. Even if it's my partner Andrew sculpting it, he gets a salary. We're taking away from everything else that could be for our product to do this sculpture. Then there's epoxy and fiberglass molds, and then there's painted casting, and then there's a profit margin that has to be worth it even taking the job. So usually when people kind of hit me with a mask, like requests like that, and I tell them what a custom mask costs, like, they're like, oh wow. Or they're like, why is that your mask was $600? I'm like, because we invested thousands of dollars into getting to that one mold to produce multiple copies to eventually pay off that and make some money for my company.
I experience. I think all artists that make a specific product experience that same thing. It's like I get the same thing as a caricature artist because I do the caricature in 20 minutes, 2 people, full color, but then they want to do this full elaborate thing. Hey, can you have me riding a surfboard and running away from a shark and have my BMW in the background or whatever? It's like that'll $500. Yeah, so
exactly, it's the same thing. Even like when we quote, they're like, so what, do I get pictures or you give me drawings? All that stuff. I'm like, well, we charge for that. Like everything that's like involved in someone's time in a skill that they've taken years and years to develop and hone is worth something. It's the weird thing, and I hate to say it, but like some of the people that don't understand that more than anybody are other artists. And I don't mean like in our field necessarily, but like musicians. They're like. Or actors or like YouTube, these influencers, they all want things for free to promote their art. And like, but you're talking to artists. This is what we do. Like as artists, I'd expect you out of all people to understand. We have this, it happens in the music industry a lot with us. I don't know why, for some reason they're like, we're going to promote you. I'm like, they didn't contact you, you contacted me. This is what we do. This is how we feed our family. And this is what we're good at. And this is why we're the best at what we do. But there is a price tag attached to it. So
I think that especially with YouTubers and maybe even musicians, they get a lot of freebies. So maybe they expect, especially if they're.
And that's why I never have any harm in asking in the first place. I don't take offense to it. I will point out that many times that media isn't our target audience. So like you're kind of like, it's like whenever somebody goes like it's for my thing and I'm going to promote you. I was like, well. One, proper accreditation is something that you should be doing anyways, and then 2, you're kind of our target audience. So, without you, it's most forms of entertainment and media is who we make these masks for.
Yeah.
So, it's funny. I'm an everyday collector, the Joe Schmo that saved up his money and stuff. They never ask me for specials or deals, and they're the ones that really, really, really saved up to afford that piece.
Yeah, they worked for 4 years, 5 years to.
Yeah. It's the one dude that can totally afford it, right? So he's like, they expect it for free or something.
Yeah. I want to hear some stories, or maybe you could talk about like some of your favorite pieces that you've made.
God, it's hard because like they all become new favorites. Like
Yeah.
it's like constantly being a kid in his own candy store, because this is precisely what 8-year-old George would have wanted to be doing,
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
8-year-old George gets to spend all day in the costume store,
Yeah.
every day. And I can't say it's not without its trials and tribulations and everything that comes along with stress of owning a business. However, I walk outside and I see cool stuff, and we get excited about something new we're working on, or we come up with an idea and we take it to completion, and it all becomes my favorite. I mean, there's moments, like there's fun things, that happen along the way, like, yeah, I mean, getting like I'm for me, things like I got my start in an inadvertent way at Lucasfilms. That's where day one of my journey started. So and then because I grew up as a Star Wars kid, obviously I'm one of the ones that was like saw Star Wars when I was 7 in a theater, and that started me on my journey. So later in life, I not only I start with a phone call from somebody at Lucasfilms when I was visiting, that one of the first movies that I got to work on when I was here in LA was a movie called Sushi Girl, and it was kind of a slow burn Tarantino-ish type gangster movie, but one of the stars amongst many great genre actors was Mark Hamill, so I got to not only meet but become friends with Mark Hamill, and a lot of the other cast members are still dear friends of my day. That movie is awesome. I loved working on every second of it, and it's just this random character movie. That's I became friends with Mark, and then and then later J.J. Abrams bought Mass from us, and then John Favreau has became a customer and bought Mass from us, and then The Mandalorian happened, and they were working out some stuff in Silicon, probably because of John's affinity for our masks, and then some ideas they had him doing full pullovers, and then we're over at Legacy, which was again amazing work, and we're so lucky to even be asked to be just ask questions of us. But I was there. I could see Baby Yoda like a year before it came out, and I sat on that for a year. And I was like, so there's some moments where the choice and what I decided to do with my life have definitely brought out that kid in me in so many different ways. Where I was just like, you try to keep it all together, but there's a moment you're going, am I looking at Yoda like a year before everyone's going to see him, or is this really happening right now? That kind of stuff.
Man. And Baby Yoda is more popular than Jesus. I mean, I have a picture, I did a caricaturized version of a Baby Yoda, and I work on this famous bridge here, and I hear it 1,000 times a day. Kids freak out over that. So, yeah. Mark Hamill, he seems super cool to be.
He's cool and nerdy, and he loves Star Wars. Yeah, he's amazing. I have a video of so the company that I worked for with Andrew. One of the movies that he had done, our old boss, was Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. And so when we were working on this movie, in conversation with Mark, he was talking about his character Cockknocker from Jay and Silent Bob, and how he had this giant hand, and then Kevin Smith kept the hand. And I was like, wow, well, we have the mold. So he didn't know this, but I made him a copy of the giant hand from Cockknocker. And so I gave it to him on set with the stipulation that he had to wear it on set and not tell anybody. I have this great video. I wish I could show you. He kind of says a couple off-color things. I don't really want to put him in that position, but he wears this giant hand on set like a jewelry heist, and it's hilarious.
Oh,
and he's just such a great guy. And again, approaching him, I was like, man, I wonder if it's okay to talk about Star Wars stuff with him. And it turns out he's a Star Wars geek. It's almost like he wasn't in the movie. He just wants to talk about it.
Yeah.
So you can spend hours talking to Mark about Star Wars, which is surreal in itself. But there's moments where I was like, hey, we gotta go to set. It's gotta kind of. That must such a down to earth guy. So cool. One of my favorites for sure.
Yeah, he was in Prague shooting. I don't remember what he was shooting exactly, but my wife was painting on the street. She does these. She was doing these these special spray paintings, and I was working on the street too. And she was following him on Instagram, and she's like, I'm gonna send him a message, and I'll give him a free painting. She was trying to spot him down the city.
I think he was doing Kingsman out there. There was because he was in Europe for a little bit working on Kingsman in England and I think in Prague.
Yeah. They shoot tons of movies here.
Yes, they do.
Have you
I
ever
think
been?
you guys might have Matrix over there right now.
The what?
I think you have the Matrix over there right now.
What do you mean?
They're doing a new Matrix movie.
No way.
Yeah, they were shooting it out here pre-COVID in Oakland, and then I think because of COVID, they picked up shooting in Prague. So you may want to take a look around.
Yeah. Are you supposed to be telling me this, or should I cut this out?
No, it's common knowledge. I mean, there's postings about it. Yeah, no, this is I'm not involved with it, but I know for sure that a lot of people that we were working with on some things. I think even some of the Marvel stuff moved over there. I think they were finishing stuff for Falcon and Winter Soldier out there also. It was just you guys opened up for shooting before Out Here did.
Yeah, the government took pretty good care in the beginning, so COVID didn't really hit here so hard, but now it's starting to pick up again. So, yeah. Plus,
everyone's trying to figure out how to make things work right now.
Are you gonna make after everything cools down? Are you gonna make a COVID mask?
I think we've got requests to make like a bacteria, I don't know, a viral mask. No, What we did do is in the very beginning of the lockdown, we made, I think maybe I have here. Let's see it. I don't usually have them in my office. We made these gaiters, they were dice laminated printing of our own masks on there. It was just in the beginning I was just looking for masks for myself, and they're like, you couldn't find them anywhere. It's like there was a shortage of everything. So to keep our printer, the guy who does our swag and a lot of other, he's an integral part of our company, kind of going. I was like, well, what if we tried these gaiters? People were in raves and yard work and riding motorcycles, and they seem to fit the face or the image better than like a surgical lifestyle mask. So we started making those, and they became a hit. And I saw a ton of those cloth masks that are just images of our own masks.
Cool. Yeah.
So
I think I saw a couple of those on Instagram, on your Instagram page.
Yeah, they became a big hit. And like a lot of the haunted attractions that are open right now, they're using them to just kind of for their ticket takers, to have a kind of clever and cool way of keeping safe. And you can double them up. They're cool because even though they're a poly spandex, what you can use, you can double them up inside themselves, and you can put a HEPA filter inside of it, so they still fit the image of the face, but they're also even more protected.
Huh.
Yeah.
Cool. That's a good idea. So, are you able to show us around, or are you on the computer right now?
Let me. I'm mobile. Let's see what we can do. All right. So now we're walking out of my office.
So this is the
I'm gonna sneak in, because I usually don't go in the sculpture room, but this is you're gonna see a sneak peek of something being worked on right now.
Nice.
And then this is Brian Wade's been sculpting this. He is also sculpting. We just kind of finished our baboon.
Oh, that's badass. Baboons are so scary, man.
Oh yeah, this is an amazing, huge mask. This is one of those ones where we checked that the jaw is going to be removed, patched back in. It's going to work out pretty well. Let's see. It's a Baphomet half mask.
Whoa, that's badass. Yeah.
And then this is our tough guy. It's a realistic mask. And then there's a new pair of sleeves being worked on right here, and then the nails have been separated right there. So those are some of the newer ones.
Wow.
And then let's walk in the actual busyness. So this is inventory. This is backstock stuff we just keep adding so we can sell it for Halloween. This is Michael.
Yo, Michael, what's up?
Yeah, Michael's working on right now molding the big muscle bodysuit.
Oh, yeah.
That's happening right there. Let's see. So this is kind of this is shop side A. This used to be the whole shop, but now it's shipping is way back here. This is inventory, and this is fabrication here. So, but most of the mold stuff and our head forms are out there, and then the silicone mask making is on this side, which we took over this building about 2 years ago. We blasted through, and this is the big side. So finishing is over here. These guys are putting in. It's gonna be a little loud because of all the compressors and stuff. But
I can hear you okay.
All
all the finishing work like horns. Some masking to get horns, teeth, hair, wigs.
Awesome.
This all starts to happen here. So there's literally hundreds of masks being worked on right now.
Wow.
Over here, more stuff for finishing. So all these masks are going to get stuff done. They're already done, painted and stuff. They're just the last pieces.
So
over here is raw castings, and that's the patch room. They're getting patched over there. So patching and seaming is in there. To keep it safe and leave them to be. Everyone's keeping their distance right now.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Are they? Are you guys using?
Is working on kind of do a bypass to them. So mats are under matting powder right now. They've just been painted and sealed, so they're being matted to take the gloss off them. Some are left glossy on purpose.
Whoa, that one at the top is awesome.
All these are in various states of being painted right now. In the booth themselves.
So you're using airbrush yet?
So these are in early stages of like spatter and breakup. They'll switch to another color, or they're a raw mask, or they're casting UV pigments. Then they're going to rub out so they're UV reactive underneath it. We also gang castings and flesh, so we can do a lot of them together at the same time. So light colors are usually made at the same time. So over here we have a lot of like things that we cast in flesh tones, so they can use the same colors on multiple masks to kind of start building them up. Things like our Immortal babies, hands.
Whoa.
Lots more stuff here. Another boss man. Then over here is our mold prep department. So this is where they put the molds together, get them prepped for casting. This is all our cores, everything that goes in the mask. They get the headstocks in here. Over here is all of our mold storage. So all of our library molds.
Whoa.
You see hundreds and hundreds of molds.
Good God.
And things are getting geared for casting. Molds are bolted together. Eventually they're going to make their way over here. Already today, the casters have separated their silicone, their A and their B, and the colors down here. So these are all ready to go. They're gonna catalyze them with B side or A side. I'm sorry. They're gonna degas them here, and then they're gonna pour them into the molds when they sell. We cast about 20 masks a day.
Whoa. Man, that is like a monster factory.
Keeping it going a little bit. Let me see. This is our digital center here. Although, so our ZBrush stations are here and here. This is an editing bay too for our film stuff that we do. Our big format printers at the shop right now. So they got picked up by Matter Hackers the other day, so they're working on it. There's a little glitch with it. And then back here is cut and sew. So anything that has to get some cut and sew, some hair punching, with most hair punching is behind that door there. And then this is like our product photography area.
Nice.
Everything, when we shoot things, it's all here. So yeah.
Man, that is an awesome operation you got going there.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, 10 years ago, this was a garage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's a monster factory.
All this.
So are they doing primarily?
Quiet area in my office. So here's
Okay.
Hold on, let me see. Fun fan thing. Pumpkinhead.
All right.
I'll tell you the story about Pumpkinhead in a minute. Why we have him. And up there is like kind of like a party loft. we used to do parties up there when Andrew was on Face Off.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You have a lot of costumes too, or is that just for the product?
We keep a steady couple racks of costumes, and we shoot our videos, but we costume things up pretty well. So, that's Bella, our dog.
The factory dog.
Yep.
So yeah.
Do you ever make
So
a
that's
mask from color?
That's Mortal Mask.
That's awesome, man. That's that's a legitimate monster factory.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, that's cool. Thanks for showing me that.
You're welcome. We're in the heart of it right now. We're 6 weeks before Halloween. And we're pumping them out fast now.
Yeah. So, if someone wanted to come and work for you, how would they do that? They have to bring you a portfolio, or they
Yeah,
gotta?
generally what we do is we keep it in file. We hire when we need, obviously. So, but we do pull from our file. So what we do is we ask for people to send us a portfolio, send us their information. We really prefer that people live as close as possible to our shop. We see more problems, and people are always like, "Oh, I'll move out there." Like, please don't move out here just for us, because you never know. Like you don't want to be responsible for. It just didn't work out for somebody in California, and they moved from Wisconsin out here. And it's happened to us before. So we kind of want people to be established already in Los Angeles, understand what it takes to live out here. And then proximity is obviously a good thing, because LA can be a tricky drive at times. So you want to be closer to the shop. So we ask people to be closer to us. And if they don't mind driving, that's on them. So, and then just, have a good, strong background in some places we train.
Cool. Is there anything that you want to plug or anything else? I mean, obviously your whole masks are.
Just check it. I mean, like the coolest thing for most people is we're pretty active on social media. So, TikTok we kind of brought in this year, and then because it's having so many issues and with our government, that we kind of decided to chill on TikTok until they figure out their mess. But Instagram and Facebook, daily we post. So we're always showing new masks, new designs, new paint jobs. And then obviously you can hit us at immortalmask.com, and you can purchase our mask right through our website. We make it pretty user friendly. So,
have you ever done a caricature mask?
You know what? It's funny. We're actually talking about that, and that was part of the tech. Yeah, we're talking about doing a living cartoon mask, which in some sense is almost like a caricature, and we wanted animated eyes, and so the same guy that made my eyes developed a self-contained kind of LCD screen animated eye, and so the idea, and we're going to 3D print the housing that's going to go into, and then from there it will become like kind of a caricature mask.
Yeah,
and we did do a custom mask one time that at best description was a caricature, because it was definitely somebody wanted a specific mask. It was a picture, and then it was stretched and distorted in Photoshop and turned more into a caricature of the person than anything else, and that's what they wanted, and we sculpted it for them. So yes, we have done definitely what I would call a caricature.
Cool.
Yeah.
And this is totally off topic question, but where does that last name come from?
Greece.
Oh, Greek, yeah, okay.
My parents are. I'm 100% Greek. Both my parents. My mom moved here when she was 16 from Greece.
Okay, cool. You ever go back?
Often, yeah. Unfortunately, I was supposed to be. I got engaged this summer. Thankfully, I was able to find another location, but I was supposed to get engaged in Santorini this summer, and then COVID happened and kind of killed our travel plans. But I generally go back to Greece about once every 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, you ever make it?
I'll get in touch with you afterwards. I have a cousin that does that for the last 15 years he owns nightclubs and does pub crawls out there in your way.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So we'll definitely keep in touch. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool, man. Yeah. And
I hear it's a blast where you are. So.
That's awesome. It's a really beautiful place. Actually, one last thing I wanted to mention was it's kind of like the swamp thing, but there's a folklore here. It's called Vodovnik, which means like the water spirit. Have you heard about it? Yeah.
No,
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of like the swamp thing, but basically it was like this old thing that parents used to tell kids to keep them away from the water, that there's like this water spirit that lives in there, and if you go too close, he'll pull you under and put your soul in a jar. Nice story for kids.
That's great. Yeah, check him out.
But Yeah, but you always see little, sculptures of Vodniks next to rivers and like Czech villages and stuff, and there's one in the city too. But that would be a cool mask. But you guys kind of have that already going on with the devil.
We're talking about doing it, right? It's funny. It's like one of the guys that I just walked by does is John Wrightson. He's one of our friends, an artist. His father is the artist, or was the artist, Bernie Wrightson, who was the creator of Swamp Thing. And John just did a tribute bust to Swamp Thing, and we're kind of like hinting on it, going like, maybe he can sculpt a kind of swamp creature guy. I mean, it comes to the best legacy in the world for Swamp Thing. But yeah, but he's here right now in the shop. He sculpted that devilfish that we did. He's an applicator on The Walking Dead, and so we're losing him next week because they're actually going back to work.
Oh, okay.
But he's an amazing artist, and he definitely follows in the footsteps of his father, who was also amazing. Bernie Wrightson was, we all look up to him out here. So yeah.
Awesome, man. Well,
I would think that a swamp creature of ours would probably be coming this year.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's been great talking to you. It's nice to meet you.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me. I'm glad we were able to connect. And like I said, we'll keep in touch after this too.
Cool. Okay.
All right.
Nice to meet you. Have a good one.
Thanks,
happy sculpting.
You.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers.
Okay, bye.